right, nice job. Good set. Let's do some social kick.
All right, everyone, welcome. All right, so we're back here for the Social Kick podcast. Who do I have to my left here?
I got the historian Luke Pennington. No, I'm kidding. Dustin.
Brian. Where's Luke?
Luke's, I guess, in New York. The man of the international man of mystery. Luke is always out and about.
He's in Toronto.
He's in Toronto?
Yeah, he's
I've
in
been telling
Toronto.
people he's in New York. I thought he was gonna go see his brother out there.
He said Toronto because he posted something on social media regarding Toronto because he's wearing Warriors gear and
And then he texted us tonight and said, "Okay, I'm going to bed in TO."
Is that, I can't read half of his text messages. I'm like, all right, is it because he's falling asleep? Is it because he's from the island, man, or what's going on? He said some. We have a great group chat. We'll have to maybe get some of these out there one day, but they're very entertaining.
Some people that have listened to our podcast already have said that Luke's accent sounded like he was from Germany. It sounded Canadian.
We get some, so.
I don't think he sounds like any of those, but I don't know. Luke's from Trinidad, and that's where we were last week.
yeah. Speaking of which, what are we drinking tonight?
All right, for all those that are, fans of the ever popular show, does anyone know what show this is mimicking?
No, it sort of looks like that MTV show Clone High.
I
Not
don't know.
Clone
cartoon.
High. All right, so it's a knockoff of like a Rick and Morty. It's like a cartoon show
Morty,
here, so
okay.
it's Mark and
All right,
who can read words because I can't.
I don't know.
Mark and Kolschi?
Oh, so
Yeah,
it's,
is
it's a
weird-
Kolsch?
It's a hazy double interdimensional IPA with pineapple, garbana,
All right, nobody
some
cares.
word and
Okay.
So it says a New World Ale.
Exactly. It's
All
pretty
right.
tasty. It's based out of San Jose.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Very cool.
What are you guys drinking?
Brian?
Well,
Go for it.
I had kind of a late night last night, and I just got done with a run and food, and I'm drinking kombucha. This is Revive kombucha,
Stacy.
popular out of Trader Joe's.
There you go.
All right.
What do you got?
I got water
Swag
coming
it
out
up.
of our own 40-ounce quart water bottle. So
Swag it up.
Head on to trainingcore.com. Buy yourself a 40-ounce water bottle.
Oh, really? You can buy the bottles on there?
Yeah.
Oh, Swag City.
Cheers,
Cheers
to
to
that,
that.
guys. All right.
Nice. All right.
$40.
There
So
you
I'm
go.
actually going to screw it.
All right.
John,
So
walk us through what are we doing today?
yeah. So today we have the International Swim League coming up. It's actually approaching quicker than what we realized. So we have the first meets October 5th and 6th here coming up. So what we're going to be doing, because I think a lot of people are still trying to understand how the ISL is going to work, what the rules are. We're going to break down and go through the meet formats, the rules, maybe even get into some of the rosters and coaches and give our opinions on those things. But we thought it would be helpful for us just to discuss all these rules together, as well as maybe to break it down for you guys in a more digestible manner than the 20-page rules format that you can find online.
Right.
Okay?
Gotcha.
But before we do that, Brian, without even knowing all the rules, overall thoughts on there being a professional swim league.
Well, first of all, maybe we should introduce the fact for our audience that may not be familiar with swimming or maybe not caught up on the current state of what's going on in swimming is this year in the fall there is a independent, private organization that has assembled a league for professional swimmers. And so there are 8 teams. There are a mix of international teams and U.S. teams. There's 4 in the U.S. and 4 based out of Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And they are a mix of nations represented within each team. And it acts just like any other professional sports league in a sense. So for the first time in swimming, there's a series of competitions planned throughout the fall that is not structured around individual athletes performing for their own team or their club team. There are essentially like mirroring the college dual meet system, where there is a dual meet format of a small team of swimmers, a men's roster and a women's roster, and then throughout the season the 8 teams will be pitted against one another, and then the season will end with a culminating championship meet in Las Vegas. And so throughout the season the teams will travel around to different competition sites. The teams are kind of based in major cities, although what we know of the league today is the swimmers will still train with their home club teams or wherever their home training hub is, and then travel to meet with their teams, sort of like an all-star team format. So, really it's exciting opportunity for all of us on a number of fronts to understand, what it looks like. Do we get quality competitive racing? What the team dynamic is like? What it's like to travel across a whole other host of things. So we're all learning as we go.
Yep.
We're learning here tonight, talking about it.
Lots of
I
interesting
guess
things.
my initial take on it is, finally somebody's trying it.
Amen to that.
And I think it's cool that the sport got some private investment from a small group to put this thing on. Up until the last minute, all of us who have been observing it from the outside didn't really know if it was going to happen. We've talked to some of the athletes who were participating in it. They didn't know if it was going to happen.
Rolling with it. They're rolling with it.
So the thing's
Roll by
kind of
the
being
punches.
thrown together at the last minute. We're getting roster updates up to the start of the season here pretty late in the game, but I mean, I think it's a cool opportunity to create a different revenue stream for the athletes. It's a different way to slice up, the sport and create sort of a different thing for the viewing public. And outside of the traditional big championship meet at the end of the year, I think most consumers of swimming, whether that be former coaches and swimmers, or perhaps people that just come into the sport and get to observe it and are fans of following it, we get attuned to this Olympic cycle. So I mean, swimming's on top of the map once every 4 years. For those that follow it a little bit closer, you got a big world championship meet each year and a college meet, if you follow it even closer than that, especially based in the U.S. So this is offering a different sort of opportunity for us to see what the world swimmers are doing. And then finally, I think, there were always people that were swimming at a high level in the fall, but mostly those were the ones participating in the World Cup meets. We might see some pops of good swims out of athletes who were participating at a Grand Prix meet or a Pro Swim Series meet or some other type of fall meets, but there's not that many of those with fast swimming in the fall. So I think it's a cool opportunity to see, do we get fast swimming? Everybody, I think there's an opportunity for everyone to focus a lot more and have something to watch in the fall.
Big time.
It's football season. Swimming traditionally in high school is a winter sport, or in college is a spring sport. And for all of us at an international level, it's a summer sport. Usually the fall's no action. So this fall we got action.
Exactly. Justin, as kind of a swimming fan, someone that follows more athletes on social media than I think either Brian or I do.
I don't know about that. Not just
And I think you do. You're young, you're hip.
Yeah. I don't know about hip. I'm pretty lame.
You're young, but lame. What excitement do you see, or what is your interest with the ISL in general?
Well, for me, it's actually just the team aspect, what will happen within the team aspect, because it reminds me, like Brian said, of the dual meet aspect in college. And I know for me at least, the dual meets were a way to bring team camaraderie. It was a way to join in together. And with everyone training in different spots, at least, I wonder how everyone's going to connect and come together to come and win a race, I guess, or win a meet, I guess. Because it is a point scoring system, especially by the end when there's a championship meet. How do you all come together, especially when you're all distant, right? And actually come to win this big championship at the end. And on the other end, I think it's just nice for professional swimmers to finally get paid a little bit more money, especially, we have the saying that we're always training all the time. So at least there's some reward by the end of the day. So that's also a nice thing that I like about the ISL.
Definitely. Yeah, and we're going to, like I said, we're going to break down the rules. We're going to have some, issues with the rules and the setup and all that. But I think, speaking for all of us here, bottom line, we're excited about it. We hope it succeeds. And we hope that everyone that listens to this podcast and loves the sport of swimming takes advantage of what it is.
Yeah.
And realizes that, hey, yeah, we might not see swimmers go best times. It might be in season meets. But like Brian said, they're trying something here.
Yeah.
And, I think the tickets are very affordable. They're in the $30 a day range for adults and $20 range there. And a lot of, sports fans will go watch baseball games, will go watch NFL games. And if you have been in the sport of swimming, you know how hard these athletes work. So it'd be great to put some more money back into the sport and hopefully get that back into the athletes' pockets.
How expensive are those Tier Pro Series? Well, right now it's called the Tier Pro Series. Hopefully we don't get flagged for that. Tier Pro Swim Series tickets now, John. Do you know by any chance?
I think they're like $15 a session.
Really?
Yeah, for
Okay.
finals. Yeah, maybe I'm mixing nationals tickets.
Yeah.
Prices.
Yeah, I think I get into this too. where, as big swim nerds and all that, we get snobbish on what we want to see. We want to see world records, we want to see all this. But just getting out there and supporting the sport is something that I think everyone in the swimming community can do better, and I think the ISL is getting it out there and trying to get to some venues and some areas where there's not as many things. We're looking up at the upcoming meets, so we have Indianapolis, October 5th and 6th. So that they usually get a fair amount of good meets there, but that's a good spot for the Midwest. We have Naples, October 12th and 13th, the next weekend.
Would that be an outdoor pool, kind of bring out the sun a little bit?
I have no idea. You think I know everything about all these? Come on, man.
We're
all reading the rules right now.
You've been in this for longer than me.
Brian, what do you know about Naples? Is that elevation? Do we need to get back in the Peru elevation talk?
So Naples is on the coast.
Yeah, it's Florida.
No, Italy.
I've been to Naples.
Oh, Naples, Italy. Oh,
Italy.
Yeah, I know.
Idiot.
Yeah.
Dummy.
He's not Florida.
No, why am I thinking Florida?
All right, so those are the first two meets. What are you saying?
Do we know if there's going to be alcohol sales?
Ooh. See, like I said, going through the rules and maybe at the... I don't know. Are we ready to get into it right now? Maybe at the end we can get into how we think this can succeed and really do well. But
here's the thing I'm realizing about ISL is that there's always something new, some storyline coming out, because they're still making, I think, little itty bitty tweaks and changes as it goes along. So it's not a perfect system.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I do give them credit for that, because I think they're still trying to improve it. Even if it hasn't begun. But they're trying to do their best, and it's still kind of in that little baby step, maybe experimental stage. Is that the right way to maybe phrase it?
No, definitely. They're going to be tweaking along the way. I mean, I own a business. I'm sure there's going to be about 1,000 million steps. And I know everyone's like, oh, this is really a weird time to start it. The Olympic year, and really going to be putting athletes' training schedules on the line. But I know they've been trying to get this going for a while, and I think it's good that they're going to at least try to get something started and squared away before their big rush is going to happen after the Olympics, because that's going to be their opportunity, I think, to make or break it year two when, the Olympic buzz is high, you got all these great athletes there. Where can you watch Caleb Dressel, all these great swimmers in a month or two from the Olympics while people are still excited about it?
And Brian, maybe this is a good question. When you were a pro or semi-pro swimmer, would you like
Semi-pro, burn.
Well,
I don't know
pro swimming, at least today, is pretty semi-pro anyway.
I don't know. It's a little bit of difference of a wording, I guess. Not to discredit you, but would you like that more racing opportunity early on, especially early in the year, or would you not have liked it as much? Especially because you were actually trying to make the Olympic team, you were on a national team. Would you have liked that, or do you think it's a disadvantage?
I mean, yes, I think it's a cool opportunity. I raced on a number of occasions for money, where meets where there were prize money, and that was always fun. But typically, there's potentially 9 meets in the schedule. Is it that many? So there's a lot of meets in this season, and I would never do it that frequently. So, and I mentioned earlier on the podcast, I was a slow in-season swimmer. So, this is going to translate well for some athletes and some not. I mean, historically, Nathan Adrian's really fast in season all the
47 every time, right?
Dressel, even though he's still very fast in season, typically has bigger drops, right? So and he's maybe not even the a good case of somebody who makes the biggest drop. So that's an interesting one to me is whether or not
they do, right?
How prepared they are. And again, we've talked to athletes who have said, well, coach says that we're probably going to train through it, even though we know that there's some kind of minimum times that swimmers have to meet to kind of prove it, which is different than the FINA series. And so as for me, I bought into training programs a lot, and so I think this is going to change perhaps the training program for some team or for some swimmers, and then for others, maybe it won't, because the coach just says, "Cool, glad you're I'm glad you're a part of that. We're focused on Tokyo."
Yeah, and I would be really intrigued if this does expand and really get more popular, where are teams that actually train together, and it's people that are like, hey. The ISL, maybe the prize money gets up to hundreds of thousands, $500,000 for everyone on the team. If they say, this is our go-to. Right. We are going to peak every time here, kind of like a USRPT or like a Michael Andrews squad, where we're going to repeat and try to perform at each one of these meets and go from there. And maybe, we're not the world record holders and winning the Olympics, but we make a good living, we can do all this off of this. Why not? Because like you said, I mean, Dressel, he had a great long course season, but I think the year before then, his in-season times were really,
they were good, but they weren't
that good.
Yeah.
I don't think they were that good. I mean,
They weren't that good.
Yeah,
Well,
so
maybe I'm thinking this. I'm mixing
you
up
had
this
this
past
last
year.
summer.
Yeah,
I mean, he had
yeah.
a whole good summer. So it's interesting to see what happens there, and or maybe it's Nathan Adrian, Natalie Coughlin. I mean, she's more of a wild card, but like you said, Adrian, maybe he's not making individual teams, but hey, he knows he can go, whatever 46-0 every short course meters 100 free. That's pretty solid.
And come back and make some cash, stay in good shape throughout the year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so like a couple things that I'm interested in from that standpoint are that Natalie's coming back for this fall, and I mean perhaps something could change after the season. Maybe she gets back in good swimming shape.
Yeah, she starts rocking it.
For sure, she's probably already in decent shape, but then absolutely been training for this. Maybe that changes things for her going forward. Maybe she just stays the path of doing this. Maybe she only does it one season.
Yeah.
But starting it now, and one of the things I think is important about starting it now before the Olympic year is, to your point about the chance to capitalize on the Olympic kind of wave. A lot without kind of the this hanging or looming in the background in the fall. The fall after the Olympics is usually a dead fall.
Oh yeah.
And what it typically means is you get this big turnover in the sport of people retiring.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of people who would probably be hanging on till Tokyo or hanging on till the trials meet that are planning on retiring.
Yeah.
That may not make the Olympic team, let's say whatever, that if they're participants in this, now they got something to look forward to in the fall. And so, I don't think that changes anything about Tokyo in the summer, but it definitely changes perhaps their longevity in the sport, maybe only by 3 months. Maybe that's all they need to get through to, okay, well, I'll go ahead and train in the spring again because I only have 6 more months until long course.
Big time.
So, yeah.
But not to jump start the gun, but like what Brian's saying, look how much money's going around. It's a lot of money. I'm looking at
Break it down. Yeah, tell us about
so,
that. I don't know all the specifics.
Yeah, so I'm trying to read it all. It's a little bit confusing in terms of what it's saying, but athletes will earn a prize money based on a third set of point values. So relays always count as a double point, but athletes get a 25% of total points since there's a lot of math. There's like skin races now, which are like shootout races, I guess.
Repeat swims.
Yeah, repeat swims.
I think in the rules it gets into the money and all that, but like you said, I think this is really interesting for some athletes. I mean, one person that comes to mind for me is, Kevin Cords. Olympic swimmer, a great swimmer in America, but he didn't make the national team this past year. So he's not getting the national team funding.
Right.
He's a guy who maybe has a suit deal, but not a whole lot of sponsors other than that. I mean, he's got this whole year to train. I'm assuming he's, whatever. Maybe he's got some side gigs, maybe some swim clinics where he's making some extra cash. But, I mean, this would be a nice way to facilitate him to swim a little bit more. And we all know, I mean, I think does he have the American record in 100 breast still?
Maybe.
Or does Cords, I'm not sure who has American. I feel
think
like he
so.
has it.
Just to go back to the money, though, here's some of the extra bit of the money. Each prize money point collaborates a dollar amount to $300 per point in the regular season and $1,000 per point in the final. So, in addition, the athletes can earn $1,000 per swimmer per match attended for the swimmers who clubs make the final, $10,000 per swimmer for winning the team final, $5,000 for second place, $3,000 for third, and $1,000 for fourth, on top of MVP bonuses and meet MVP bonuses and season MVP bonuses. So that's a good amount of money. We'll
have to go through and break it down because, like you said, I know the whole team, everyone on the winning team makes some bonus. But by the way, Mr. Kevin Cord, shout out, you still have the American record. So it's one of these guys where
58.7?
Yeah. 58.64.
Oh, okay.
58.64.
I was close.
So yeah. But anyways, let's keep rolling through the rules. So it looks like there's more or less a meet every weekend from October to November. There's a 2-week break between October and November. The U.S. teams and the European teams will have, they each do one meet, a Group A meet, a Group B meet, and then a Derby meet. So there's 3 meets guaranteed. And then in the finals, I believe it's 2 of the U.S. and 2 of the European teams going.
So it's like
it's 3 to 4, 3 to 4
okay.
meets total. So not 8 meets total. It's 3 to 4 meets per squad there. Each team will have one captain, one vice captain, and they have to be different genders. So that's interesting to make sure that there is some mixing there. We'll have to maybe pull up a list. Maybe one of you guys can pull up who are the actual captains. See if it is more, if it's all captains that are male, or if it's more mixed male and female captains and vice captains. That's interesting. The suggested size of each club. Traveling club is 24 athletes, 12 male, 12 female, but they can carry 4 substitutes for a total of 28 people, and the roster total can be 32. So 16 male, 16 female. It doesn't specify that it has to be even.
Though.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you have
a very wholesome team.
So say you have 16 males times 8 teams. I mean, that's 128 swimmers. 128 male, 128 female swimmers. So a pretty good amount of athletes are going to be involved in this. Each match will be 3 sessions with 2 breaks in between, so there is some breaks in between, and during each break is when you can resubmit that lineup. And then we'll get into maybe these, there's some negative point totals for people missing races and things like that, but it kind of sounds like a little bit like a college dual meet, where there's like how they have the diving breaks set in. It sounds like they're going to set up some breaks, 2 breaks during each session, and during those breaks you can maybe adjust your lineup a little bit.
Because it looks like there's relays before every break. From what I'm seeing, there's day 1 there's 4 4x100 free relay break, 4x100 medley relay break, and then at the end of 4x100 free relay, and then the next day is kind of the same thing.
So you spent lineups 90 minutes. On the first day, and then no changes until break 1, and then you can have changes during break 1 and break 2. I know we were talking, like you said, there's negative point totals as we'll get in for people that miss races, and people get hurt, people get sick. Maybe people really, like you said, if I don't know, if Dressel is putting in 10K a day with Troy, and he's got a 200 free.
He's probably.
I don't know what he's going to do, and he's one of the better swimmers. I mean, we'll get if we get into the rosters. There's some lower tier swimmers, but lower tier that doesn't mean they're not good. They're great swimmers, but
they're just not versatile.
We all know some swimmers that are barely getting by in season if they're really broken down, right?
Yeah. Do you think there's an advantage for some of the guys that have done the Jax 50 before, or the Tiburon 50 race out
I
there?
think so for the skins race.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really intrigued. I mean, I don't know, Brian. Do you know the results of those races off the top of your head? From what I understand, it was never like the fastest guy in the 50 that won those. It was more like
who can survive.
Schneider.
Yeah.
I know he won a fair amount.
Schneider. I don't think Cullen ever won one before. George Bavell went pretty far in the one in Tiburon. Caleb's won them before. But yeah, I mean, it's what you often see, like a semifinal, maybe the fastest one. And then these guys are going in a yards pool. They're still going 19 lows in some cases. But then they may come back in the final and it's like 19.7 to 19.9. So the guys are fading by the end. And that's doing 4 or 5 50 frees fast, but they may only get 10 minutes rest in between.
Right.
So I don't know exactly what. Did it say how much rest they get?
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into that here for sure, but that's what's going to be exciting because I think there's a lot of points in that skins game. And I think, as a fan, we talked about this, I think, just in our general conversation about, and we'll talk about how to make this even more interesting for the swim fan, because I think the ISL needs to figure out what their market is. Is it diehard swim fans, or is it the general population?
Right.
I think the diehard swim fans like us, we realize we're not going to probably get world records and things like that. But I would love to see like a fly breast-free IM race, or a 150 fly 50 free, or these odd races and things like that, just to see what some of these guys can go in some of this nonsense.
What was the distance of the race that he did in that movie, Swim Fan?
I think it was the 75, it was like 112 or
75,
130.
it was like 150.
He finished at the other end. I just remember him finishing at the other end. God, that was a
What a
movie.
stupid movie.
For those youngsters,
I've never seen this.
Have you ever heard of it?
Nope.
Oh my God.
It's like the only drama movie about a swimmer.
Yeah, for those out there, if you've never heard of Swim Fan, don't watch it.
Oh,
but
God.
At least read like a brief summary about it. And
It's
be
shot like Nip Tuck,
this
like
was a
whatever
movie?
hospital was ever with all the lights off.
Yeah, it was a
like
very
every
dark
scene
movie.
in that movie
It was
was
a
like
dark
the pool,
movie.
the lights were off in the pool.
I don't know. Who's got
Yeah.
access to this pool all the time? Anyway,
Yeah, but
so,
I think it's a good idea to have some different distances, some different
but like I said, depends on what the market is.
Let's
for
bring
them.
back Masters butterfly with the breaststroke kick.
Butterfly.
Kind of weird stroke.
I mean, and that's
Oh my
kind of the
goodness.
interesting thing about
Or like high
swim
school
nerds.
backstroke starts where you can
Oh,
like
the
stand
stand-up
on
start.
the
Stand-up
If
start.
we're not going to get world records, I think we'd be intrigued to see some of these crazy races, right? I mean, when we talk about what swim fans like, it's the training aspect, as odd as it is. So I do think, like, seeing some of these crazy races, I'd love to see, I don't know, who... some of these great swimmers do like I don't know, Reagan Smith do like a 400 backstroke, or 400 backstroke long course.
Oh yeah,
Or
like
Chase Kalish do like a 600 or 800 IM. Something ridiculous like
that. that would be nuts, and there's no time to really compare it to. You just say, God, that was amazing.
Now they hear us on this podcast. They might be like, please don't.
Yeah, like I said, we have suggestions. Doesn't mean our suggestions are right at all, but it's one where, hey, we got to see. We're just breaking it down and trying to learn and hopefully help everyone improve.
Right.
I don't know if this would be interesting to the viewing public or like the general public, but as a swim fan, I think it'd be fun to kind of watch them get competitive with training, let's say. So even if it wasn't all, timed, but what if it was like sequences of races? Like maybe it was just like a hard set, but it was all timed. Yeah. And so it was like I don't know, two elite distance swimmers pitted in a match race, and it was like how many short course meters, hundreds can you make under
descending interval or something like that? Or just like
descending
in a
intervals,
minute,
right.
59, 58,
like make a game out of it, and then in a way you're
match.
kind of creating it as like a training event as well as a race that serves kind of the need of the team and the competition. Because that's fun when you're a college swimmer and you're on a team.
Yeah, you're watching.
That you're
guys
like, like on your own team, you're kind of pitting them against each other. It's competitive.
Yeah.
And so I think that's cool. I don't know if like generally people would find that cool, but I would.
I don't know either, but I think general loves short races.
Mm-hmm.
I wish 25s were more involved. 100 IMs, 100 relays.
Oh my gosh.
People
that'd be
love
crazy.
them. That would be nuts. But
We
anyways,
should do races from a runner.
runner,
Yeah.
monofin 50.
Monofin? Oh, yeah.
I watched
Now you're talking.
monofin 400 meter, but they get like the oxygen tank today.
400 meter monofin?
Yeah.
In a pool?
In a pool, underwater.
What?
But they get an oxygen tank, so they had to hold the oxygen tank in a streamline like this. But they were holding, I think the lady was like holding maybe an average of 45. She went on like a 42.
Oh man,
Yeah.
see, I like it, but yeah,
That was cool.
100 meter short course underwater race, all underwater.
I almost brought that up. I was like, you can bring up your Trinidad story from like back.
Yeah.
I don't think we want to see a shallow water blackout on TV.
I have had that happen to me.
So I mean, I think that's the ultimate. For whatever reason, maybe it's just because it's like ingrained in us, like the swim interest of like underwater, breath hold, speed.
Yeah.
Underwater's the fastest. The breath hold, we've all
But
done.
that's
breath
what
hold.
gets people excited from outside of the sport.
Put a heart rate monitor on them. We get a blood
Only
pressure.
one of them survived. Yeah.
They nearly died, or they died. Oh my god.
All right, back to the rules. So two
Okay.
athletes for each team will compete per club. So it's maybe like a quad meet for college, where you get maybe two lanes,
yeah.
2 relays for each relay. So I'm intrigued to see how the points work with the 2 relays, because if there's a pretty equal point distribution, that B relay could be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you just have lanes 1 and 2 for team A. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Teams 3 and 4. So with your next to
You're
your
next to your
teammate.
teammate.
That is random.
I like
Really?
that.
Teams lanes 1
I
and 2.
want to
teams-
swim next
So
to
you can
my-
draft off one another?
Oh, that's kind of smart though. Like in the distance races.
I have no idea.
Don't you think they would be doing that though?
Maybe. I don't know. I
Next to one another.
That's-
Good thing it's short course, so you don't have to worry about pools with a current.
What, there's pools like that?
Oh, I mean, the 2011 Worlds weren't?
Anyways, kids rounds will be conducted every 3 minutes, and athletes will return behind the blocks after rounds 1 and 2.
That's going to be so interesting to
That's
see them
fast,
wait around.
bro.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
very
How are they gonna televise that?
Do you think anybody would do like an intentional false start?
I don't know.
Oh,
we'll
like
get into
stall.
Well, that's dumb, of
Yeah.
course. Like in the old days,
Well,
you could do it, but like.
But would you
know.
get
a rolling start.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all
yeah,
that?
yeah.
But if you get DQ'd, because false starting is a DQ technically, you lose points though.
Oh yeah, I was
Yeah.
right.
The qualified athletes cannot use the. Okay, so let me read this. I'm still taking it in, so sorry if this is boring. But so you have round 1 of the skins, you have 8. Round 2, 4. Final round 2 athletes. The limited athletes will return to their team's area. The qualified athletes cannot use the competition pool to cool down. The lanes that the qualified athletes will use will be according to their team's lane assignment for the day. For example, if a team using lane 7 and 8 for the day, then a qualified to the second round athlete of that team will use either lane 5 if his teammate is qualified, who will use lane 6 or lane 6. Sorry,
I'm lost already.
I'm lost.
that's
I actually think this needs a little editing. It's not just my reading skills, but it sounds like, I don't know, you can't use the competition pool to cool down. Can you use another pool, or are you expected just to sit there and I mean,
Dry out a little
it's
bit.
only 3 minutes. I mean, that's a pretty quick turnaround.
there's not
But
much you
so,
can do.
Joe, are they saying that if one of your teammates gets eliminated, that you can cool down in the?
I guess so.
Yeah.
What if your 2 athletes?
But I don't get that.
Yeah.
What if your 2 guys make it? Then you're just sitting in it. I don't know. As a
Yeah,
guy,
That's weird.
Yeah.
all right. I mean, and are you starting at the other end? It's 50s. 3
Short course
minutes?
meters, though.
Short
Oh,
meters.
sorry. Thank you guys. Yeah.
yeah.
So it'll be at the other end. All right. As a 50 freestyler, 3 minutes. How are you going about this? Are you
Oh,
cool?
man.
Are you cooling down? Are you sitting in it?
I would shake my arms out a little bit. I might. I mean, if I can, I would. I mean, I'd spend the first minute to minute and a half, so double arm backstroke, just flopping around the pool.
Do some active.
Yeah, and then I'd
do whatever you
I'd probably want to limit that to 90 seconds. Get out of the pool, have enough time to kind of get set, dry off or something if I need to dry off the block a little bit, and then get back going again. So just enough to
Yeah.
kind of like shake out a bit. But yeah, I definitely would. I wouldn't just like get out and let it
So is
sit.
there like going to be an official timer? Like once they touch, it's like, all right, you got 3 minutes, or is
Or
like
is it from the start? It's 3 minutes.
Yeah,
I mean, if it's from the
kinda
start,
yeah,
that's 2 minutes
awful.
40 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, you cool down. That's a minute
But-
of goofing around.
Yeah. Even
That's
if you
fast.
touch though, that's
Quick.
confusing because like when do you like say okay, this is your 3 minutes?
Maybe they start the clock at like say 30 seconds.
Right, yeah,
So
yeah.
30 seconds after the original start.
Right, yeah.
That would make sense. Like
Yeah.
just over 3 minutes. But yeah, that's an interesting dynamic we've never seen in the sport.
Yeah, that's fun.
We've seen it in practice, just never seen it in a meet.
And like you said, there's some of these, the Jax 50, the Tiburon, that have tried it, and I think there's some interest with it.
Mhm.
So I hope that with the it being televised and things like that, it will take up some speed. And
Yeah.
just some interest in general.
Interesting name, skins races.
It's more, what's it taken from? It's from like horse racing or something like that.
gotcha.
Yeah,
It's
I
from
mean,
some other sport.
I don't know. It's a common thing in
Someone
other
can help us
sports
up,
too. They have
yeah.
a skins game in golf. And,
Okay.
Yeah, maybe it's just from golf in general, but yeah, it's a
Mm.
Justin, get your head out of the gutter. But it's a
Well, sorry.
a general term there. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. So scoring. The scoring for each event will be as follows. So first place is 9, second 7th, and then
Dual
it's
meet
just 1 point
standards.
down from
Yeah.
from second to 8th. So
Almost like a dual meet.
yeah,
Almost
but
like
I
a dual-
thought, I mean, first place doesn't get many more points. Maybe next episode we'll score out a mock meet.
That's actually
Yeah.
surprising that they don't reward the win.
if you look
as
at the
much.
skins and
Yeah.
the relays, it's the
That's where
point
it's
total
big.
kind of starts to, there's
Yeah,
more disparity.
The
for
skins
sure.
place, you get 27.
So
So you get
triples.
3 times. So it's pretty much you get 9 points for every one of those wins if you look at it like that.
Mhm.
But this is definitely this. It's the same scoring as a dual meet.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
all college dual meet dual
Yeah, yeah.
scoring is.
Yeah.
But the skins race, you get 6 points from first to second. So that's a pretty big. I don't know. There's a lot. It's more or less a 3 multiplier for that skins race, which you could say, oh, it's 3 races,
Yeah.
and 3 swims. Maybe it should be, but
Yeah.
that seems like a lot.
Sorry, I misspoke. Not that many athletes
Oh.
score in a college.
Yeah, not
dual meet.
everyone,
Yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
only like top
No,
3
no.
or 4.
Yeah, that's not
Sometimes
true.
it's 7-4-1. If I could be wrong, if I remember. I think
Yeah,
it's like
it
7-4,
jumps
yeah,
again. It jumps
yeah.
again. Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
just 2
But
and
not,
then 1 down, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
it's
why-
bottom 2.
It's
that's
only
why.
like 1,
Yeah.
2, 3,
Okay, so
maybe
5
4.
who scored.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, so they're trying
That's
to.
why the 5th place was always important because it's the differentiator.
Mhm.
Big time. So it's interesting. Everyone's scoring. Like I said, we'll have to score out of meet here
Yeah.
because I don't really know how
Uh-huh.
this all impacts it. But
Yeah. Take like
it
two
makes me think
teams
everyone's
and
getting
put them
points. Everyone's involved to some degree.
Wait, so
sorry.
they're bringing a women's and men's roster, right? This is a stupid question. So it would be the women's versus the women's points, and then the men's versus the men's total, or would it be combined?
I think it's combined, but maybe we'll read into that here.
Yeah,
think
that's
it's
where it gets a little confusing.
I think it's
for me.
combined.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
It's
it's
one team.
combined.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. The club scoring at the end of each match will be as follows: first place. So at the end of the whole meet, you just get given 1, 2, 3, or 4 points. Okay? So the end of the whole meet, say this kind of, what do they call these? The meets for the first one are Group A's and Group B's. Say, whatever. You know the team names better than me. What's the LA team? LA Current. They win, they get 4 points. You get the DC Triant, they get second, they get 3 points. So that's how they're kind of scoring between competition. So it's not...
So like say there's like 4 meets, and then one team goes undefeated, they have 16 points by the end.
Yep. Yeah. So that's how they score it. And then and like I said earlier, the top 2 U.S. and the top 2 Europeans at the end of those 6 regular season matches, with 3 for each, will Las Vegas for that finals. Okay. This is what's interesting. Okay. If 2 clubs are tied at the end of the regular season, then the cumulative points of these clubs will be taken into account of the qualifying teams. In the rare case where the clubs being tied also have the exact number of cumulative points, so I think they're taking those 4, 3, 2, 1 points and also the overall totals. If those 2 are tied, they do a 400-meter mixed medley relay to swim off.
Oh, wow.
I don't know where they're doing it, how they're doing it.
Yeah.
Then the 2 teams will have a swim off.
I love that they're going to travel for one race.
4x50 medley mixed.
Wow.
I want to see it.
Hey, they got to have a tiebreaker, but wouldn't that be cool to see it?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds pretty rare.
It's kind of like a play-in game, you know, in baseball.
They should, exactly.
That's sweet.
Where they're going to,
there has to be like some pool they got to run out too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're getting into the negative points for the meet, which there's a big section on the negative points, which is interesting. I mean, I think it's them trying to make sure people that are going to watch are going to get their money's worth and not see, who was it, Rasmus that dropped an egg?
Yeah.
Rasmus?
Rapsis. Danis Rapsis.
Yep.
Yeah, so he was the guy during the FINA series who was swimming because there were 4 athletes in the race, and he was
getting prize money, right?
All 4 got prize money. So three people in the pool were competitive, and he was just getting out going like way slower, not even trying in the races, and still collecting a check.
Yeah, so I mean, this is trying to stop that. So
I mean, he ended up like kind of winning the 200 free at Worlds. So
yeah, he's a good swimmer. Mm-hmm. So I mean, hey, he's trying to get paid.
Mm-hmm. It's good. Hey, there are no rules against it.
So this is what's trying to prevent that. So
which I think is got to the final.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it's not fun to watch.
Yeah, so, exactly. You don't want to see someone taking a bath. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so if a swimmer,
I mean, to be fair, like that happens in like
all the time.
Yeah, it happens in college all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the sport when you're doing these repeats and all that. But
yeah, if you got multiple races in a session and you just don't think you're going to advance above 8th place, then just collect the points.
I'm not sure if this is the way to make it more exciting, but I think they realize, hey, we're putting out a product, people are paying money, we can't have people taking a bath. Right. Yeah, I don't know if this is the correct way to fix that or make it interesting.
I like it.
But hey, this is something. We'll see if it does help out, right? So,
I like it.
So anyways, if a given swimmer is slower than the respective times, which it looks like these times are about 10% slower than the world records in short course meter, they get -1 for their team. So I'll just throw out a few of these. I'm not going to read every one. So the men's 50 short course meters free is a 22.5. The world record's 20.2. The women's the time is 25.5 that they have to go. The world record is 22.9. The 100 fly for the men's, the time is 53.0. The world record is 48.0. For the 100 fly for women's, 58.5 is what they have to go. 54.6 is the world record. So
so
there's some wiggle room.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that
for like elite swimmers. If they're really in shape, they can still they can still back off.
Yeah, just enough.
But if they're gonna scrape by and just make that time, they're probably gonna. I mean, they're not gonna place well.
No, definitely not. And
unless some people show up and they're really hurting, like deep in training. And
I mean, I've seen some guys go 49 something. I mean, in season 100 long course frees.
Yeah.
And this is 49.5 short course meters free, so it could happen. But I'm not sure if it will happen or what they'll do, right? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, long course is
obviously. It could happen. I bet short meters is probably closer to 2 seconds.
Yeah, so that's
probably 2 seconds difference between long course.
Okay. Yeah. All right. If a relay team in any given event is slower than the relay times, then they get -2. So there's relay times on here as well. But anyways, God, then there's a lot of points for if you do not show -4. If you don't finish -2. If a relay does not show -8. If a relay does not finish -4. If you skip out of the skins race, You get -4, -8 if it's in round 2, -12 if it's in the final round.
Wow.
So, if a team's winning by a wide margin, do you think we'll see some of them rest and skip those final races to save for the next week? There's a lot of meets.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty much competing. So let's go back to that schedule. So you're in Indianapolis the 5th to 6th. You get one weekend off. Next weekend you're in Dallas.
So if you could sit out your skins race for one Saturday, grab a kombucha and go watch your team.
Have a kombucha.
Would you do it? I mean, hey, if you got,
I would.
Yeah.
I mean,
do you think?
I guess the only thing that would come back to bite you is if you're in that weird tie, where you're total team tie, and then you go to the points tie within the events. But that seems pretty rare at face value that that's going to happen.
So I guess maybe less relevant without pure being match style, because that's how I characterized it at the beginning. But do you think there should be a mercy rule?
No.
No.
People are paying a lot of money to come watch, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's one. Hey, you're a Warriors fan. How many times have they beaten up on teams over the past few years?
Good amount, but also I've gone to where they lost and it sucks.
Yeah, I mean, you go to
MLB's advocating for a mercy rule. I think there should be.
I don't know. You really think there should be a mercy rule in this? So what happens? You end the meet?
Yeah,
you just do corkscrew relays the rest of the way.
Well, the thing that's not good about it is the event order. So, like, you could have a pretty back-half event order, but I would say, like, the mercy rules would have to be written off of your back-half events not even being close to. I mean, mathematically impossible to catch up, right?
Yeah, so there's no way.
And
right?
which happens all the time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, college dual meets, they quit
college dual
scoring,
meets,
right?
why they stopped scoring? I think that's the silliest thing.
Do you know how they determine that? Is it purely just
I
based
think
off
the coach
projected?
Yeah, but I think the coach just goes
Right,
over and says, we're going to, like,
Mercy.
concede the points
That's
or
my thought,
whatever.
too. I've never sat down and, like, counted it out, but every now and again I look at it and I'm like, what happened?
But college dual meets are kind of like, whose line is it anyway? Like, the points don't matter.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
So,
And
like,
that is the concern with this to some degree, right?
yeah.
Because, I mean, when we look at college, and sorry for all those international viewers and listeners, because it is a little weird to hear us talking about college, but this is probably the closest thing that we can relate it to.
Yeah, I don't know of anything in
But
European swimming. It's like
with
this,
it, I mean, there's a college dual ranking. Does anyone care about the
No, the
college?
dual meet rankings at the outset of the year.
Care about that, right?
No,
No,
nobody cares.
no one cares at all.
Yeah.
And that's what, it's...
Yeah, it means
I
nothing.
wish it
Yeah.
did, but it's those the finals meets, the NCAA competitions, the conference meets where it's a whole different environment, right?
Right.
So that's like in the back of my mind of like, who is gonna care about this?
Yeah.
I hope people care,
Yeah.
but it's like, hey, no one cares about the college dual meet rankings.
No, not at all.
No one does. Even college swimmers don't give a 2
Because
cents
it
about
matters
that.
about who swims fast at championships and
Yeah,
then
people only
NC2As.
care about best times and world records and
Or
NCAA
accomplishments,
records.
sorry.
So, anyway, so
Yeah, but I think that could change a lot if you
I hope
have
so.
because if what we're talking about here is the potential for this to be like a huge moneymaker for some of the athletes, and then if it becomes something that people watch, or if they add some other interesting things that are bringing innovation to the sport, then you're starting to like create a different focus, and that power shift changes perhaps from some of the big summer meets or the big meets where you're representing your country to, well, I mean, the scales shift a bit. And if that's the case, then there's certainly an opportunity to, have this be sort of the leading edge.
yeah,
And
cutting edge of the sport, the innovation of the sport, where a lot of sports other than swimming have issues. I mean, American baseball is trying to tweak their game to make it more entertaining for the younger public to get more viewers and all this. And at the end, maybe we can talk about how we can all feel like this should be successful. But I think a new venture like this is exciting, that you can be on the cutting edge. You can try new things like we're talking about to try to make it great for the viewer, whether it's the online viewer, the in-person viewer, or the gambler, whoever else is there that is
I'm
intrigued
interested
at
to
all.
see if that's actually going to happen. If gambling is going to be a big part of this, because I think some money would go back to the ISL as well. That'd be pretty interesting. I mean, would I put money on, I don't know, some LA Current, DC Tri, whatever team is out there to win?
Yeah,
maybe.
Before the next one, we'll look into if there's any betting set up for this already, because like you said, this is coming up next weekend.
Right.
We can make our payday, boys.
I bet there is.
Yeah.
I've bet on swimming before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know you talked about that. You want to get into your deep dive there?
That was my. Did I talk about it on the podcast before?
I don't
Yeah,
think
you
so.
talked about it once. You
Really?
said something about Soon Yang.
Oh, no.
You bet it on Soon Yang, I think. Maybe you mentioned it in person, but...
That was my coping mechanism after I didn't make the team in 2012.
Oh, gosh.
Because I was house sitting for Davis Tarwater, and he made the Olympic team, and his whole family went to London. So then I was just there, like, betting copious amounts of money on Soon Young to win the mile.
Did he win?
That was the meet where he fell in the pool. He almost false started, and I had to bet like $1,000 to make 100.
Anyway, so
great.
we'll see if
I might
Brian
bet
can have
on-
such a good experience again with
I
the
might
don't
bet
recommend
on
that betting
basketball
line.
this year.
I was at a Masters meet last week, and I was ready to put some money on Justin versus Tank and the 2 fly. I'm glad I didn't, though. I would have lost money against Tank.
Hey, I got clipped at the last second.
You lost to someone named Tank.
Well, his name's Wilfred Ryan Garcia, just so you know.
Name drop. You're
Love
losing
you,
to someone
Tank.
whose nickname's Tank.
Yes.
Alright, what else?
All
It
right,
was
so
like
anyway.
twice my size.
All right, so over the event schedule, so I'll give it to them. They're putting in a lot of events to this. Pretty much,
Yeah.
the only thing there isn't is the
The
4x2
mile.
free 4x2 free relay, the mile, the 800.
They want the shorter events. You know, I think with the 400 IM, I think you can still get behind that distance cheer. Because
Yeah.
I always like the distance swims, honestly, at dual meets, because I think, you know, it's just that nitty-gritty, you can cheer a lot. That got me really excited as a college swimmer, at least, because that would always start off the meet. That set the tone, besides the first few relays, and then you get into the distance, and that was always really fun, just to see guys just go at each other. It's kind of like playing mental games, but if you're not a swim fan, you don't really know.
And
right?
it isn't it? You want to watch, Katie Ledecky. I don't think she's involved in this, but
She is.
Oh,
She is.
She
She's on
is
the-
involved.
I think she's on
So,
DC Triad.
I mean, are we going to be excited about her? Wrecking people by 30 seconds in the mile if she's off her world record by 30 seconds.
Well, I think the common, not the regular swim fan, but the common regular watcher is just gonna be like, "Did you see Katie Ledecky? She kills everybody." You know, and it's like,
I don't know. Is that what they say? Or they go, I'm going to hit the bathroom.
or she's like, "Oh, she's so awesome." It's like, yeah.
That's another one. What if
Yeah.
it was like a point for every meter that you swim?
Oh,
Like
you
before,
beat people.
yeah. So if you touch the wall at the end of the race, and you get like additional points for additional meters swum before your next competitor finishes.
That would be awesome. And there's
Like
like that
plus
line
points.
tracking.
Yeah.
That, you had that world record line, but it's like the ding, ding, ding. It's like cash rolling in. Ding, 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 ding.
It's like extra $500 for lapping someone in distance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You as an athlete get an extra $100 every 5% you beat the other
And
athlete.
then your whole team's there just throwing cash.
Make your brave, fellas. Make your
Think
brave.
it's like Shane. Why'd you leave me now? Why'd you leave me now? Collected. All right. So, anyways, that would be great. I'd love to see that. But anyway, so
I would call Katie Ledecky the Rainmaker in ISL then.
CV reckon. All right. So prize money, athlete plays first. Sorry, I gotta read
Yeah,
that.
it's a
So
little
let's see.
confusing.
So
Yeah.
this is what you're trying to read earlier.
Yeah.
Earlier, all right.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
We gotta add it up though. So I
Yeah.
think we'll skip the money component for
Yeah.
now,
Yeah,
just
right.
because
It's
I
confusing.
need a spreadsheet to break this down.
And also
Yeah.
there's like weird percentages and stuff.
Yeah,
It's confusing.
Exactly.
And
so,
there's like regular season versus postseason cash prize as well, so that gets a little confusing as well. But it's in 4 figures, That's pretty good if you go to the Tier Pro Swim Series, right?
yeah.
Say if you're a pro swimmer and you get, they give it to first, second, and third, right? And then they have the ranking ladders throughout the year. I think
I don't know.
This is more, I think, I would say.
I truly don't know
Yeah, I
how
need
that
to
works.
Yeah.
But I think the big things, per swimmer, the club that finishes first at the final match gets 10 grand. Second place 5 grand, third place 3 grand, fourth place 1 grand. So
and then throughout the season, all expenses covered.
yeah.
So
travel.
at least none of the athletes are out any cash. It's only a positive for them to make money.
Yep, and I think what we should do, or one little thing, we have the MVP, most valuable, should it be MVS? Do we want to get onto that stickler? Most valuable swimmer player.
Whatever.
I play swimming. Yeah. Anyways, we selected after each competition. Blah 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 blah. The MVP will be selected after the competition in Las Vegas. MVP.
Oh, so there's a league MVP at the end of the year.
Yeah, I don't.
That
Yeah,
sounds
alright.
like the finals MVP.
I don't see
though,
any
not a
money
league MVP,
associated
yeah.
with that. So
I think
anyway,
that's a
I mean,
peer
cool.
selection? Or like a fan selection?
you get selected one time after each thing. It can only be each
Well,
time. I don't know. I don't see any
So,
prize money with that.
hey, maybe we'll get credentialed as
We get
sports
put a vote?
sports media, so we get a vote.
So here, MVP bonus. So meet MVPs, man or woman with most team score points. Season MVP, the man or woman with the most team score points for the entire season.
Is there a prize bonus?
Hey, maybe.
MVP.
Way to go!
MVP.
way to go, guy.
MVP. So, anyways,
You're the real MVP.
so yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff here. Do we want to go through the teams now and break them down? Do we have the teams pulled up?
Sure, yeah.
Just kind of discuss who's on each team and who we think might be doing well, because that's the end of the rules. I think we break down the teams and then we can kind of discuss where we think the ISL, just looking at it now, and we can review it after the fact, where we think it can do well in, where we think it can improve even more, and then we'll reflect with after each meeting and try to get everyone excited about it. Because like I said at the beginning, I think as some fans we need to support the sport of swimming, whether people are breaking world records or not. We're going to Warriors games. How much money you spend on Warrior game tickets?
At least $250.
You can't spend $30-$40 on one swim match.
Yeah.
We know how hard these athletes work. Let's put the money. Let's put the money back in the sport.
Is that a swim pitch?
I always won swimming. I went to this Masters workout. I wrecked people with fins the whole time tonight.
All right, I'm gonna go through some of the rosters. So we have we'll go through the American teams first. You have the DC Trident, led by Katie Ledecky. Cody Miller. This is also the team that Natalie Coughlin is on.
Wow.
And then those are kind of the headliners.
Yeah,
and
I don't think we need to go through each person.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, who's the coach for the DC Trident? Doesn't say on there at all.
It does. Yeah, it's Cindy Gallagher. She was at UCLA for a
Yeah, she just retired, from UCLA. So
looks like an all women's coaching staff from DC Trident.
That's interesting. Who are the captains? Does it say there?
Looks like.
Is it Coughlin?
So Coughlin, no. So Sandino's the general manager, and then it says led by Katie Ledecky. Now I don't know if that means Ledecky's an ambassador.
So you have a coach, a general manager. Because I know Lenny Kraselberg, he must be a general manager too.
He is. So So anyway, on the men's side for the DC Trident, Zach Apple, Kevin Cordes, you mentioned him. To name a few, Cody Miller.
Yeah, there's a few internationals.
A lot of American guys. Jeremy Stravius from the French team. So Andreas Vizayas. So was he from NC State? I think so. Yeah.
I believe so.
Okay, so that's the DC Trident.
It's based on hometown.
So an interesting team. You got Zane Groth. Finnerty is on that team too. It looks like.
Good team.
Yeah, good team.
Yeah, I mean, God, this list I'm looking at.
Jay Litherland.
It's not even split between male
summer.
and female. They got Ledecky on this team.
Yeah.
Giles Smith. Yeah. Arizona.
Okay, so the Cali Condors, Lily King's the headliner on that team. You've got on the rest of the women's roster, Kelsey Dahlia, Mallory Comerford, Melanie Margalis, Kylie Moss from Canada,
Olivia Smoliga.
Ariana Titmus.
It's a good team.
Yeah, Smoliga. So, Molly Hanna's good team.
With Greg Troy as your head coach, it looks like.
So that's the one with Dressel on it then.
Okay, right. So then on the men's side, and this is like Dressel's best buddies are on here too. Well, he says like Mark Zoranic, Florida guys.
Yeah,
Jan Swikowski.
I mean, a lot of the teams are. I don't know. I have no idea how. I forget how they got picked. I remember there was like a draft, but it's interesting how it is. It's buddy, or
it's kind of buddy, right? But I mean, this is a really good team with Dressel, Mitch Larkin,
Townley Haas,
Justin Rest, Townley Haas.
What's Townley going to go in season?
Oh boy, that's a good question.
Jack Cartwright. Yeah, so that's a good stuff. Okay, now on to the LA Current. All right, so
this is a good team too.
Yeah, so this is Lenny Kraselberg's the GM of this team. And headliners on the women's side, Kathleen Baker.
All right, so
Amy Bilquist,
Annie Laser, Katie McLaughlin, Frida Osman, Leah Smith, Kendall Stewart.
I mean, some interesting names, but I don't know, nothing that's standing out for me.
That one's not like this one doesn't seem quite as strong. The men's roster: Adrian, Dylan Carter, Michael Chadwick, Jack Conger, pretty versatile. Grievers, Ryan Held,
Actually, pretty solid.
Chase
men's team.
Kalish, Felipe Lima,
A lot of Cal guys.
Ryan Murphy, Blake Peroni, Josh Pernot, Celiscar, Tom Shields. That's a strong short course meters team.
Well, look at the coaching
and
staff.
you
too.
do
It's a
have
good
50
coaching
meters
staff.
of each
Yeah.
strokes. I think I forgot to mention
Yeah,
that. You
let's
have
slow
50
down.
meters of each strokes in these
That's
races.
a
So
good
Right.
coaching staff, actually. Marsh.
So these are my
Hawkins,
coaches. You had
coach.
David Marsh, Brett Hawk, and then Jack Roach.
Those are like
question, do coaches matter?
Well, I think they matter. Well, in this format,
In
do
this
they
one,
matter?
coaches in general matter. No offense, coaches. But for the ISL, do coaches matter?
Yes, I think.
for
I-
for event lineup. Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I think
So-
you got. I don't know about.
And this
Jack
one's
Roach too
advantage
much,
the
but-
same way that Troy's team with some of
Yeah.
his swimmers,
Mhm.
or swimmers that he's familiar with, and then we see it again here. These
Yeah.
are swimmers that David
David.
Marsh is familiar with, or
Mhm.
like Cal guys, and of
Mhm.
course Marsh and Durden coached together for years,
Yeah.
so like I'm sure they've got a close draw on that.
Yeah.
So I guess you kind of know the swimmers. You can kind of pick the lineups.
Yeah, you
kind of
know, right?
And I
You know
will
what their
say-
training program is like. You know what they're coming into the meet
I
like.
guess that's true. And I
Yeah.
will say this. I mean, I forget if it was in person or on this. We were talking about how swimming is an interesting sport where you don't get exposure to that many coaches. This is going to get some more exposure.
Mhm.
Right.
Right? So hopefully this helps out the athletes. Maybe they don't help them out for these meets, but maybe the Australian athletes working with the American coaches
Yeah.
get some tidbits to help them out. And vice versa with the European coaches or some of that exposure. Because it seems like a lot of the U.S. swimmers are on the U.S. teams.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
as we're seeing here, not all of them. Like some of the Aussies are on the U.S.
Yeah.
teams.
Some of the Aussies are, but it's definitely heavily weighted. The U.S. teams
Yeah,
are heavily
big
weighted
time.
toward
And I,
American
think,
swimmers.
and I think that as we get into the European teams, that it's mostly European swimmers.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
there's
Yeah.
a few Americans sprinkled in there, or these people from, other countries that, obviously, Dylan Carter comes up to mind, and obviously he trained at USC with Salo for college, so he's had exposure to it.
Absolutely.
But maybe some of these lower developing countries can get their athletes exposed to these elite coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
that's exciting in that front to help out the sport in general.
Yeah, I'm curious to know how many of the international swimmers on the American team rosters are not training in the U.S.
Right.
Because there's already a lot of international swimmers that are already training in the
But, like,
U.S.
Ariana-
There's some that I don't
Tennis?
think are.
Tennis? I don't imagine
Yeah. Tennis
she is,
isn't,
right?
yeah. No, I mean there definitely are some, but I
Yeah.
mean
Yeah.
like even beyond the American contingent on those teams and the Canadian ones, which there's I don't know. There's a larger percentage of the team beyond the Americans that are training in
it's like
North
90%,
America.
right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Like
Okay, so
That's
the
Also
last
big
American
airfare,
team,
though, if you think about it too. Yeah.
last American team, the New York Breakers. Hey, maybe the Andrews are gonna make everybody do USRPT in
Yeah.
training after the meet.
Peter Andrew, head coach.
Yeah.
I
All right,
know
so
that
it's
ruffled some
Michael Andrews'
stuff.
team, Marcelo Chiragini, Joao DeLuca, Marco Koch,
Lucas still swimming?
Marius Kush,
Justin Lynch.
Jack McLaughlin, Pebley,
Oh, that's interesting that Pebley's on that team and not on the LA Current.
Pedro Spahari,
Brad Tandy.
and Marcus Thormeyer. Okay, so that's the men, the women.
All right.
Pernille Bloom, the Duluth sisters,
Okay.
Bria Larson. This is the first time they had a French swimmer who withdrew. Interesting.
Yeah, there's been a few Europeans withdrawing
Yeah.
recently. I know. I think it. Just they're not. I don't know. I
Alice-
can't want to
Alice
speak more, but
Thomas.
it's interesting to see
Yeah,
the withdrawal.
Alice Thomas from Team GB, Madison Wilson from Australia. Yeah, so to be honest, doesn't look like a super strong women's team on the New York Breakers. That might come back to
Guys, team is just, it's okay.
yeah,
Not the best guys.
yeah, across
team,
the board,
yeah.
not the best.
I think everyone wants
roster
this team
considering.
first.
Yeah, I mean the California teams certainly look strong.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the European teams. The Aqua Centurions.
Where are they based at?
Let's see where they're based.
Do we like that
Derived
name,
from the
the
Roman
Centurions?
Centurion, so it looks like this is the Italian team. No, I don't like that name. But then again, I'm not
Weird.
into like fantasy anything. So okay, on the men's side, let's see.
Santa. Yes, Santo's representing Italy now. That's another interesting thing.
Santa Condarelli, Laszlo, Luca Dodo, Kristen Golomeyev, Fabio Scazzoli. He was the backstroker who kept on
Yep.
like missing the wedge at Worlds.
God, I felt so bad. Just like fell. He pushed and it was.
Pour one out for that guy.
Yeah.
All right. The women's roster for the Aqua Centurions, a lot of Italians.
Yeah.
Don't know a lot of these swimmers. Sarah Kohler from Germany.
Sorry, Italians.
Yeah, sorry, Italians. Pellegrini. I mean, honestly,
yeah.
Pellegrini is the headliner here. Yeah, very heavily Italian team. Freya Anderson from Team GB. So
Yeah, we'll see.
That was a wild card. I don't know. We'll see how that one goes.
Yeah, and I think that's, showing that, as big swim fans we are, maybe this will help expose us to some more international swimmers and see them in a short course format, right? Where maybe they can excel versus what we see them in a lot of international stages. Because some swimmers, obviously, we always think the Americans are better at underwaters and short course formats, but maybe this will get some of the more international swimmers going for that and really showing their skills underwater.
Certainly, and I mean, hey, there's a very different skill set, and again, that's what probably drew Natalie back, because she was, even though a very strong swimmer in long course format, probably better short course.
Big time.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're on to the Energy Standard team. So this is Chad Leclos and Sarah Soystrom. They're kind of leaders of this team. James Gibson, from former swimmer from Team GB. He's the head of Energy Standard.
Interesting.
He's the general manager. Okay.
He's a GM. Okay.
The men's roster for Energy Standard.
Good team, actually.
Simone Spilis, Anton Chupkov, Chad Leclos, Max Litchfield, Flora Manadou, Ben Proud. Looks like Danis Rapsis withdrew to focus on the World Cup.
Yep, I saw that.
Okay, and then Minakov withdrew to focus on NCAA.
Really?
Yeah, that's crazy. That was an interesting decision. Okay, even though I think he's sitting out a year. Anyway,
Weird.
Evgeny Rylov, Romanchuk. That's a good team.
That's a good male team.
That is a good team.
Especially with those two. I mean, we'll see what Manadou has in the tank, right?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
But him and Proud on that.
That's
on
a
that
great.
Skins,
Yeah.
I mean, that could get 1-2.
Yeah,
at a
yep.
skins race.
Yeah. Okay. Energy
Bad
Standard.
girls team either, from what I'm seeing. Yeah. Was it
Well, you said
Seabom,
Sostrom, right? Sostrom's on the team. She could win the female skins.
Shostrom, Charlotte Bonet, Imogen Clark,
she might
Georgia
be my lead.
Davies,
Kira Smith.
your girl Femke,
Mm-hmm.
Femke Hemskirk, Penny Alexiak,
She
Seabom.
could be good at the.
Yeah, these are
I'm
good.
sure, we'll see how she is at SCM short course meters. I'm not sure how.
Sure, yeah.
Penny is short course meters.
Okay, solid team. So far, that one seems like a strong roster. Okay, we have two more European
And
teams.
that's an interesting one because I think they've had a kind of a training group here for a little while. At least some of them, right? With the Energy Standard.
Yeah, that's
Chad
true. So like
Leclos and a few
Leclos,
of them.
Soystrom, and travel together. Yeah.
But
so,
I guess, I mean, you could say the NCAA and the college teams here kind
Right.
of have a similar thing going, but that's a solid team.
Yeah. Okay, so the London Roar. This is Petey's team. Adam Petey and Kate Campbell. Let's see.
Both Campbell sisters, I believe.
Yeah, true. Okay, so on the women's side, Holly Barrett from Australia, Maria Belmonte, the Campbell sisters, Emma McKeon, Taylor McKeon,
All right. So a lot of Aussies on that
Siobhan
one.
O'Connor, Jeanette Odison, Sydney Pickeram.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a solid team.
That's pretty good. I mean, the
Yeah.
Campbell girls.
That one
are
strikes me as a
winning.
team that could show up or couldn't.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
You know,
I
It's
don't
like a
know.
very hit or miss team. It just
Well, I mean-
depends. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. On the men's side,
You got PD, right?
Yeah,
Chalmers,
yep.
The thing
James
is with
Guy.
PD, I mean, PD's what? He's got 2 events.
McAvoy.
I guess he's got relays too.
Duncan
Yeah, it's
Scott.
really-
That's actually a solid guys. roster.
Yeah,
A lot of the
Pergoda,
British
Wilson.
guys, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so Vinny Lonzo.
McAvoy. Those guys are pretty good.
That could be a solid team. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a really good team. All right.
Last one, right?
You know, so when we're looking at this team, though, like, so Chalmers, 50 guy, Cameron McAvoy definitely, like, has become more of a pure 50 guy. I don't see anybody on here that's just
Skins,
lights out
right?
the Skins.
That's the thing. I mean,
Who knows? Like,
Yeah.
like we said with Skins race, it may not be like top end speed, but it's like endurance
big
speed.
time.
So
it's like I was saying, like
So there could be some
Manadou
guys
could
that
be good at the
surprise.
skins, or he could be bad.
right.
Could he do 350s like that? I don't know. Especially
I
with
think
this training rate.
he can.
I think so too, but
Yeah.
maybe not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it is like a McAvoy or one of those guys that's more of a 100 long course guy.
Yeah.
Maybe he actually has better turns than we realize. So his short course game shows up and he can repeat.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so last European roster and last roster overall.
Iron Team?
Team Iron.
Oh boy.
I love she named it after herself.
Yeah, I know.
That's great.
We'll give it a shot.
Katika Hosu and Vlad Morozov are
Oh,
kind of
man.
the headliner names of this one.
No, Vlad. Let's see how his short course meter.
You wouldn't
chart
know the
goes.
general manager, somebody who's from Jamaica. Anyway, women's team.
Atkinson?
Yeah.
Atkinson, Maddie Groves,
All right, Maddie Groves.
Hoso Chromo Jojo,
Oh my god, I haven't heard Chroma Majojo in a long
Kira
time.
Toussaint.
She's around, man.
Yeah. That's interesting that Gunnar Benz is on this team for the guys.
Yeah, so let's jump to the guys then. Ben's, let's see, I don't know how to say his name, but I've seen him swim before. Jeremy Desplances.
Okay.
Desplances. Anyway, Robert
Sorry,
Glinta,
Jeremy.
Milak.
Dominic Kozma, Christoph Milak, Ross Murdoch from TB, Peter Timmers from Belgium.
Yep.
He was solid in the 100 free all
Yeah.
year last year.
He was. He was around 47.
He could be
most
one of
the year,
those that's
right?
like just solid in this kind of format.
Yeah.
Because he didn't really show up at the end of the year, but he certainly did
In season,
Yeah,
all
he
year
was
round,
very
right?
consistent.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the final team. Definitely a lot of, like you said, a lot of potential either new faces or at
Yeah.
least for the American viewing public, or perhaps just for me, a lot of swimmers that I didn't necessarily recognize, and though more familiar with the American kind of second tier of
Yeah.
maybe less prominent names.
Mhm.
So I think it's a good opportunity for the sport.
Yeah, I agree.
Certainly good commercial opportunities for some of those athletes to get a name for themselves, to be on TV.
Big time.
Yeah. And let's remember that I'm curious to see if, maybe not after this year, but a few years later, if we have some Asian teams jumping in there as well, like, some teams based out of Japan or China, Korea. Those,
Yeah.
that would be very interesting
That's
as
a
well.
good point. I mean, there's
still a
pretty
lot
much
of talent.
zero
That's a-
Asians.
None.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Because
a great point. Yeah.
From what I understand, they make pretty good money on their Olympic teams and with sponsors and all this, so they're not needing the supplemental income. But
Right.
hey, I mean, it just takes a couple to kind of get going, or then to
Right.
say, hey, why don't we have an Asian team here?
Like,
get
Hakino, Urie, Joseph
Yeah.
Schooling, just
Throw
a
Su
few.
Young on there.
Yeah.
You throw
Partey.
Fu-
not Partey one. Sorry.
you throw Fu on there. I mean,
Certainly would make travel kind of tough, but
it's already tough. You have Australians on the American teams
Right.
going to.
don't you think
America.
that they're going to come and just have a training camp there for the fall and not go back and forth to Australia?
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're competing in 2 weeks again, that's a quick turnaround to head back to.
That's
Australia,
quick. I bet they're
right?
going to stay.
So they'll stay here,
Yeah.
but
Which is a
Along
bold
with the head
move in the
coach,
Olympic year.
yeah.
But there's a lot of Australians participating.
yeah,
a
tidbits.
lot.
I mean, a lot
They
of
have to
top
be the
end
second.
people.
But-
they're probably the second deepest nation across the board anyway.
Yeah,
But
what
money
they're
is
going
money,
for.
right? Money is money.
But still, it's not. I mean, we'll maybe break it down next episode, but $10,000 to win. Is that much? I mean, I don't know if it's that much money versus that or an Olympic gold.
Right, that's true.
Like I said, they're getting their travel paid for, and it's an opportunity to participate in something that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Racing is good for training, so
Big time.
Yeah.
we do, I certainly don't expect that teams are going to be, or swimmers are going to be, besides a select few, are going to be resting for these meets. They're going to be training through it. They're going to be lifting while they're in these camps,
Big time.
and so I guess I'd be very surprised if we saw many world records. I expect maybe one.
Sure.
It's short course, so I do expect some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't expect it to be
Consistent.
that
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes with it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's finish up here. Justin,
Yep.
what are you excited about for the ISL? What do you think could be improved ahead of time with the ISL?
They gonna get that money.
Is that a little Dicky reference right there?
Key and Peele.
Key and Peele, sorry.
Key and Peele. But sure, that too.
Okay, so you're excited about the money.
Excited about the money to go around.
We'll break down the money. I feel like it's not as much as you think it's gonna be.
Hey,
I think it's someone's gonna take like $50K home.
Yeah.
Hey, that's pretty good. But yeah, the money that's going to go around, I think just the opportunity for somebody to be presented in a different public light, I think that's going to be potentially pretty exciting, and maybe it grows next year again, like we were talking about. Maybe there's an Asian team or 2 Asian teams. That'd be really cool, in my opinion. I think when we were going down the rules, just the clarity of rules, especially with dual meet rules and how that got a little bit confusing, how the money started getting broken down. And I know I said I was excited about the money. I think that can be cleared up just a little bit more for the public eye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you think would make it more exciting, more fun, more interesting, more room to improve, like bold predictions on how to improve just based off of what we're seeing from the rules.
I think like we were saying, like finding like those fun events, I mean, that really, help the public eye understand something a little bit better. Maybe it's the underwater race, knock on wood, or just 25s fast. I think that'd be fun, like a shootout derby. I think just finding some sort of extra entertainment value to it. I think that could add to the ISL, but that's gonna be pretty tough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brian, or you got anything
because
else?
swimming is only popular during the Olympic year usually. So.
Well, we're trying to break that mold, right?
Yeah, trying to break that mold.
And I think this is an opportunity to see if it can extend itself.
Right.
Brian, what do you think? What are you excited about, and where do you think this could improve ahead of time?
I'm excited about an opportunity for like a wider group of athletes to make money in the sport.
Yeah, 100. What did we say? 120 some.
That's a lot of
males?
people.
That's a lot of people.
And
And it's just different. When's the last time we had something that was truly, really different and fun? I don't know. And the thing that I'm looking out for, though, is recently in the U.S. we had this startup football league called the Alliance of American Football. And it was a privately funded organization. In the middle of the season, they cut the funding, and everybody walked home sad.
Yeah. What did it last? Like 2 games?
I haven't seen any of the business
2
plan for this league.
Yeah.
Seeing some of the prize money, it makes me think, okay, they figured out a way to be profitable off of the meets, and that's why it's not as high. But they're still paying for travel and all the athletes.
Right.
It's a lot of athletes.
Venues.
There's a lot of expense. TBD. If people show up, I think the season finishes. I would not be shocked if the season doesn't finish.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
It's somewhat of a short season if you think about in the big picture of things, right?
yeah. I mean, there's
It's
not.
like
I think with that
a month
league
and
you're
a half,
talking
2
about,
months.
there was maybe like 8 teams, and they all played each weekend. So it's less competitions than that. But football's a hell of a lot bigger than swimming, at least in America. So I mean,
At least
I don't
this
want to
there's star
let the
power.
air out of all our sails, but I think that's a big thing to realize. And back to the point, we got to support the sport that we love, right? And if we really think this has, and like you said, this first year, I think they're figuring it out.
Right.
We understand that, but we have to put some support in, and I think the tickets are reasonable.
Right. And just not to throw another topic in there, I know there was drama with FINA early on when ISL was being created. Will FINA step in again? That's another big thing. Will they feel pressure with, all these swimmers making money not wanting to go to the World Cup?
Sure.
That's another thing.
I mean, I think FINA, if they see this going, they'll somehow get their hands in it and kind of parlay it to some degree. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting to see what they do. And I think one thing we didn't touch upon here is that I think this league is trying to have no one that has a doping history at all involved. That's missed doping. Tommy Fraser Holmes, I don't think, is included on this. I believe the other Australian swimmer that tested positive for the last World Champs isn't included. We talked about the Asian swimmers. Some of them aren't included. Whether that's because they don't need it or what, but I mean, that's an interesting stance that, I mean, I think the athletes are getting behind, but I don't know where FINA's at with all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I certainly appreciate that aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, I it's nice to see people come together. I mean, I know there's been, the last thing we saw with the doping was the award ceremonies at the World Champs, right?
And that kind of left I don't know, it was a bad image, but it was an awkward image for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was mixed feelings about, was that the right place? Was that the place to do it? You want athletes to, voice their opinion, but like I said, is that the right place? But I think, hey, them getting behind a league that doesn't allow that, or that they're going to try to zero tolerance. I don't have enough problem with that. I mean, I think that's the place to go about it, personally.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna do a round 2.
Yeah, we'll definitely do a round 2. So, I mean, I think round 2 with this, we'll go through maybe the prize money a little bit more. We'll all pick our favorite teams, try to get everyone here excited about it, because I think that's a big thing. Like, to reiterate, I'm sorry if I'm beating a dead horse here, but we got to get behind this ISL if we really want it to succeed.
John, you seem so stoked for this.
I am, man. I'm excited too.
I'm excited.
I'm
excited, but I think you're like a step up, like a
Dude,
little.
I'm ready to get into some fantasy methods about this. I mean, you guys don't understand my fantasy baseball nerdum, my fantasy football IDP league about all that. it's going to get for real.
Alright.
But I mean, I'm excited, and I think there is a lot of areas to improve and change along the way. But like Brian said, I think to harp that home, it's something different.
Mm-hmm.
It's something fun, and I hope this allows us all to learn more about our own sport.
Mm-hmm.
Learn about these international swimmers, see how people swim in season, see how maybe this unfolds, how people train or work with different coaches to try to get up and race a little bit more, and fills that dead time of the fall.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
exciting
Cool.
stuff ahead.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Sweet. Well, that was round 1 on ISL,
Yeah.
and we'll catch you next time for round 2.
Yep.
On the
All
flip
right.
side.
See ya.
See you guys.